So the last segment to talk about concerning combos is the wall. Whole different ball game takes place at the wall, and for starters, I want to just go over the moves you can end a full combo with to get you to the wall. All the combos we looked at are out in the open where you can get the whole thing, and we talked about the need to adjust your combos to get to the wall correctly. So let's take a look at what happens at the very end when you get the whole combo and then your screw attack, and you still have a little bit left to go. When it comes to wall carrying, because you're in Setsunogake all the time, those options are pretty good. And set 1-2 is actually pretty decent. By the time you're at the end of a combo, and you know you're at a pretty medium distance, you're not too far, but you're not super close, just a good set 1-2 is enough to just bounce them the rest of the way, you know? You kind of keep hitting them forward, and you stay right with them, and you both get there at the same time. Set 1-2 is pretty good for that. Next after that is set 4-3. These double kicks have really nice wall carry, and get you an extra amount of distance with enough recovery for you to get there in time. Hits them pretty far away, but you have enough recovery you can run up, should be able to land. You might not get the full wall combo, but this works from pretty good distances away. Not to mention, this is your go-to ender if you don't want to switch sides. So it also happens to be your best wall carry and your second best damage option together. Some other points worth noticing would just be run up and down forward 1-3. If you have a medium number of hits, 5-6 hits in your combo, you can do this to get them to the wall. And the nice advantage is that puts them super high in the air. They're likely to hit high on the wall, which lets you get more damage at that point. The last thing worth mentioning, it's not a super good option, is up forward. God damn it. The last thing worth mentioning that's not a super good option is up forward 3+4. That can do the same thing, kick into the wall the last little bit, but you don't get as good a float. You might see that just as for something that comes to mind real quick, but for the most part, down forward 1-3 does that job a little bit better. So we've looked at all the different ways you can get combos in your opponent and how you can use those combos to get them to the wall. Let's next take a look at when you're already at the wall, the moves you can use to stick them back to it. For when you end a combo there and you have the advantage on wake up, you want to splat into that wall again as best you can. So let's go over some of those moves real quick. There's the huge list of every move that I found that does cause a wall splat, and I'm not going to go over all 27 of them here. Just let it be known you have several choices, and the mix-up that you're going for basically is mid versus low at any time. She doesn't have anything low you're going to hit them with that wall splats. You just hit them low to keep them honest. But what you really want to get is to stick them back to the wall, and she has a couple of good mids that are safe for doing so. You have several moves overall, like forward 2-3. That's a 12-frame punish that'll stick to the wall. That's great. But since it's high, if you use that for wall pressure and they happen to guess low, they would duck that cleanly. So you have to be careful about moves that are high, but several of them work. Back turn 4 is an option, because if they try to sidewalk out of there, it's homing, and that'll hit them too. So those are kind of cool, worth considering. But the mids that splat are what you really want to go for. And she can get you by the third hit of strings, like that, but that's not a natural combo, and you're not going to hit them with that necessarily. If you happen to get an opponent that's really freaked out and presses a button at the wrong time, they challenge that and they get hit, yeah, that'll wall splat. But what you want to look at are safe mids. Mids in general, and ones that are safe on block, are really worth it. So the two most noteworthy ones are set 2. You don't have to be far away to do this. You can be waking up and just set 2 very quickly. That's a safe mid that re-wall splats. So that's the biggest threat you have, right? Is sticking them back to the wall without consequences, and all you need are just lows to keep them honest. You know, they get tired of you waking up with a low, one set 2, and then boom. Next up on that list is quarter circle 1+2. This move is very underrated. Doesn't seem like it had a real good purpose in mind. They just made it a really good move overall. Has huge range, airborne, safe mid on block, quarter circle 1+2 to 27 damage, and back into that wall splat. The other string worth considering while standing 2-4 is pretty good here, because if you happen to crouch in front of them, they're immediately thinking full crouch sweep, right? And you do that to them a couple times, they're going to get wise to it, and you have while standing 2-4, which is a mid-natural combo that wall splats. The string itself is mid-high, so if they didn't bite on that, they can duck, so be aware of that. The full list is in the doc, like I said. You can go and learn them all, but those are the ones you really want to focus on. Set 2 is the biggest, most important thing, and the lows to keep them honest. If they try to get up with a kick instead, something like that, that is -12, that's a good option to do it too. So remember that one. A 12-frame punish works well, as does your forward 4-2. If you can punish with that thing, really good. You hit him to the wall and you backdash to bait it and then tag him, that's good. So punishment, stick to the wall. Mid, that's safe, the wall splats, and then the lows that complement that whole situation or what you want to focus on. When you're not necessarily at the wall but close to it, you have a wall bounce and down back 1+2. This move, like any other, has the same kind of property. It depends on how close you are to the wall. If you happen to be pretty far away, you can do that. Your crouch dash 2 input. This works best from the longest, most far away distance because the recovery is going to kind of put you right at them. Like that. I didn't have barely enough time to follow up there. This works when you're just the tip. It's mostly your style point option. Try it one more time. There's one. Oh, see, that missed. That's interesting. It's so fast it does it. Needless to say, that's a sweet spot. You really need to be in just the right position for that to work, but if you know you have that position, that's a really cool option to use in my book. There's one. There's one that's just right. Crouch dash 2 is a great option for doing this. Outside of that, if you're not quite at max distance, you could just use forward 3-4. That works really well. It's a nice high stick to the wall splat so you can squeeze in the extra hits. And any other in-between distance, forward 2-3 is pretty go-to. Because it'll cover the ground and it's got really good recovery for you, you should have plenty of time to hit them afterward. And finally, that brings us to your wall combos. The whole thing has been leading us here. Launch your opponent in the air, combo them as much as you can, carry them to the wall, resplat them to the wall, whatever it is. Once they're at the wall, this is where you do some serious damage. So a couple of combos worth looking at here. I'm going to use forward 2-3 as the splat, just out of convenience every time. So the biggest combo you get is this. 1, down forward 1, down 2-1-2 both. Let me show you that move in the move list, just so we're clear about exactly which string it is we're doing. And if you played Tekken Tag 2 at all, you already know this one. That's the string right there. Down 2-1-2, and then both pushes. To make this easier, all you have to do is just press down 2-1-2, and you hold in that 2, and just press 1. That button buffering technique really comes in handy. It keeps you from having to mash it. Just do 2-1-2 and hold it, and then press another 1. So a jab, a down forward 1, and then that whole string is possible. That works on small characters, as you can see, pretty reliable. The only real drawback is your recovery is a little slow, so you don't have a ton of frame advantage over them when they get up, but it's enough for you to be able to backdash and bait an attack or something like that. But that's your max damage overall, is that string. So the next closest option you have is a jab into down forward 3+4. This works pretty well too. I like this one mainly because you can hold back during the string and end up back turned after the damage. Does not change your Oki situation, your recovery is exactly the same. When you hit them with this, they stand up normally, and you're already back turned, ready to catch them with whatever it might be. So I like this one a lot. This also will break floors on a floor breakable stage. You do not get your back turned from there. Another one worth noting is down back 2-4-2. Nice amount of damage. You're not really sacrificing a lot of damage, but this one they can't tech roll when they hit the ground. This is a hard knockdown. They can't tech immediately. They can roll to the side afterward, but they can't tech quickly. So you can kind of use that to your advantage, knowing they have to stand up or roll to the side and get ready for your next low attack before they're ready to go. If they're mashing a button trying to tech roll out of there as fast as they can, this won't work. You're going to catch them napping for a second, and you'll be ready to land right on top of them. So that's worth noting because it is a spike knockdown. Also one that would break the floor. And the last thing worth noting, does not work on small characters. I'm not going to change it just to show you, but it does exist. And that is 2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2, and you cancel the 5th hit. On normal sized characters, all 4 of the 2 strikes will connect, and the 5th one, you cancel it in the back turn, you'll be right on top of them. So the goal there is you just hit them with 4 strikes in the back turn. But if you want to get fancy with it, 2-2-2-2-2-2, and cancel that last hit. That can work on full-size characters. Quick little side note, if you are off axis, down back 2-4 is a pretty go-to way to kind of pick them up again. It doesn't have a full resplat that's reliable that I've seen, but that one works just to get a little bit of extra out of it and stick them to the wall proper. So the last topic to cover then is wall combos that will break the wall / balcony or the floor. And there's a ton of these. Once again, list is in the description and in the Google Doc. I'm not going to cover all of them, just ones that are worth noting. When it comes to breaking the wall or balcony. Pretty much anything that does the wall splat will do the trick. And the ones you're going to see most often, so the first one of those you're going to see is back turned 1, 2, 2. That third hit connects fast enough, that'll break the wall in the balcony it's under. The same thing with set 1, 2, 2. If you happen to be mid-combo and on your way there, you could do that as well. You can do, if you happen to do the while standing 2, 4 that we talked about as your wall splat, set 1, 2, 2 is right there ready for you. Breaks the balcony. And the other one is set 4, 3. That one works in pretty much any wall splat situation. Cool looking kick, nice damage. Outside of that, all your other wall splats are pretty reliable. 1, 2, 4 is one that we don't talk about a lot. They all work. Simple one hits like that. The choice is yours when it comes to breaking the wall. And if you've already used your screw attack, you still have it on the other side. Just make sure you didn't use a screw attack and not remember it. Breaking the floor is pretty much as straightforward. We talked about 2 already, which is the jab into down forward 3, 4. That'll break the floor without you going back turned, as will the down back 2, 4, 2. There's a couple other cool ones that I like. Down forward 1, 2, 2. It's just a string that I find cool. This is the one where she does the head first flip. It's worth noting that too in the regular wall combo section. I forgot. Down forward 1, 2, 2 does the head over flip that you have to tech roll back. That'll break the floor here. And I think this is a cool string. It feels like that really hurts. I like that attack a lot in general. And the last one worth mentioning is a pair of back ones. Pair of back ones into that hatchet chop. Can be a little tricky to time. Can't mash out the one. You don't want the third one there. The back 1, 1. Hatchet chop. That breaks floors too. So you got a couple of different fancy ways to do it. Set 1, 2, 3 from mid combo does it. Lots of things like that. But those are the ones that are worth noting. And the rest of them are in the description and that doc. So I highly recommend, once you've gotten used to what we're talking about here, go check out that doc and see what the other options are. And just kind of get used to them, right? Like, oh, I didn't know blah, blah, blah would do that. Little by little, you'll absorb the information. And once you get comfortable with the basics, you'll get the extra little fringe data little by little absorbed into your mind. So it takes experience, it takes practice to get used to all of these things, and you're never going to remember every move all the time. But the more you get used to it, I think the more natural it becomes, and you don't have to waste energy thinking about it. It just happens. So that's it for the combo explanation. I hope this hour was informative in teaching you how combos work. That's always been the goal, is understanding the nature and what you can do with them and how to get the most out of it without having to panic and without being caught off guard by different situations that might arise. You always have to know these things ahead of time. Whenever you go for X launcher, you got to realize, oh, if this hits, I have to do a certain combo in those situations. And that comes with familiarity, like I said. Every time you're going to go for, forward, forward 2. And when you get that counter hit, you better have up, forward 3, 4 locked and loaded, because that's the easy one, for example. So that stuff will come with time. Hopefully this is enough of a basis for you to understand it better, rather than just memorizing a boring list that you'll forget anyway. So hopefully this helped. Click the subscribe button down below for more interesting content of all the other characters and everything else that's happening in Season 4. I got a couple more guides coming up, as well as redoing some old ones from Season 1 that I think are worth a complete do-over. So stay tuned for all of those. I appreciate you checking this out, and hopefully I will see you in one of those future videos.